Okay, so just, I mean, this is, we're coming to the end of a 2-year project, because this is more than a MOOC, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was 3 deliveries of the 5 or 6 week MOOCs,
Yeah.
but it's part of a much bigger project that has been taking place over the last 2 years. And I think the question you set out to explore was to see whether we could scale up the production of MOOCs if we managed to find low-cost production methods. So I guess you were thinking, okay, if we can find low-cost ways to making MOOCs, more people would make them, and more people would be learning using this medium. So 2 years on, Brian, what are you thinking now?
Well, I think we've certainly proven the point that it can be done at low cost. And we have found lots of people that agree with us that it can be done at low cost. But certainly what has emerged is that cost is not the major barrier at this point. And it looks like the effort that's required by MOOC builders, in other words, the number of hours they've got to put in to building their course. Probably the most interesting discussion that I would feel I got into with the participants on the course is on the tension between effort and quality. That everybody seems to have a different idea of what they believe is acceptable quality. I am very much of the belief that that education that we do in the classroom is of varying degrees of quality. Some of it is brilliant, but the most of it is just good, acceptable, what we consider good classroom teaching. And I'm very much of the belief that you can take a good classroom presenter and they can just allow everybody to see what they're doing by doing the same thing they're doing in a classroom in front of a PC and a camera and microphone. And what that's doing is that's allowing potentially millions of people to have free access to what they do in their classroom, which is good. Now, I seem to be in a little bit of conflict with a lot of others who say, no, if you're going to expose your course to such a lot of people, it's well worthwhile putting in the extra effort. And while I do agree that, if you're going to have a big audience, that effort will pay off. But if it means that you don't do it, you've got nowhere. So I would sort of be saying, no, I'm getting a little sidetracked from your question here, but I'll just finish this point is that I'm saying is, well, you can never be guaranteed you're going to get millions to watch it anyway. So let's say you're teaching to 40 people in the classroom and say your target is 400 free learners. It's probably well worth doing it with as little effort as you can get away with it to get it out there to a couple of hundred people and come back. And if it's usually successful, revisit it and redo it at a higher quality. So continuously improve it. Now, having said that, a lot of people don't agree with me on that, and they want it to higher production values. So I would say what's emerging as a challenge, the new challenge, as it were, is how are we going to achieve these enhanced production levels that I think people want when they go public with minimal effort. We're going to have to develop a lot of tricks and techniques that allow people to step up their quality from their classroom to a more professional level, towards a more professional level, but not just, multiply their workload by an order of magnitude. So you don't want 10 times the workload for your MOOC version of your course. Just because you want to up it to a slightly more professional level. So I think we need to make progress on that. And I think if we were redoing this course, to me, that would be... And we have addressed it to some extent in this. Jorn, particularly in his videos, gave tips and tricks about how to look more professional without spending a lot. I would say that you need a critical mass of activity if you're going to get into recording short videos, and you say, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my MOOC online. I'm going to record in total 5 weeks and 4 or 5 minute videos a week. And that's it. I'm never going to do it again. You probably won't. It's your skill level that reduces your workload.
Yeah.
If you
and
can,
the more you do
the more you do it. So
skill.
I would say that we're looking to reduce workload. You need to say to yourself, this is a long-term commitment.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a lot of what I teach in MOOC versions.
So I suppose, again, we're back to the thing that, people should just get stuck in and start doing it.
Yeah.
And also start off with, kind of managing your expectations of what you can achieve.
Yeah.
And then just keep practicing. And, that there was, Jorn had a video that I followed to make a studio in my house. Now, this was so low cost, and, admittedly, it took me a while to get it in place, but it was basically made, as he recommends, with the, books and crates and cardboard boxes and loads of things. So it took a while to set up, but then if you can leave it in one place, basically it's simple. You just go in, you do your recording, you go out. So it's about getting started and maybe putting in a bit of time to setting your things up, and then you get it. And it's the same with using the software. The more you do it, the better you become and the faster you can do it. But sorry, Brian, so just in terms of the production value, and I think it's come out time and time again between this delivery and the last delivery, that a lot of people make the point that, audio is one thing, or the visual is one thing, or fancy images, but they say that, if you really focus on getting good audio, then you're halfway there. This is the most important thing. And little things like, back again to, a question of people asking for some kind of nuts and bolts of, behind the scenes, what we're doing here. So if anybody saw Brian's last webinar, there were two things there. That first of all, you weren't familiar with the software, with the website, and we didn't have great lighting, or the camera was kind of, just a little bit funny. It looked kind of small. So we've done very little between then and now, but we got a little bit better lighting. That's pretty much it. And you're now familiar with the technology. So
the technology, I suspect the last time I was more stressed about the technology. We're a bit more comfortable with the technology now. We're just talking to camera and to a microphone here in front of us. And so we're concentrating on what we're doing rather than the technology. Yeah.
So there again, the thing is to just do it, get started, and then keep practicing. And
also, I would say, if you have a set of videos to go through a course, get stuck in. Do video week number 1, video number 1. It mightn't be too good. Video number 2, week number 1. Start working your way through it and tweaking your process. And your skill level is going up. And you might find by the time you get towards the end, you'll say, I'm going to go back and redo those videos.
Yeah.
But your skill level will be coming up. Almost like those first level videos are your training. Yeah. And remember, and this is the thing as educators, we all tend to subscribe to, it's that when you're doing something, that's when you learn the most. Yeah. So throw yourself in at the deep end, get creating what's it you're creating, and, come back and improve it later.
It's a really good point, and it's something that, again, has come up throughout the discussions about how to create the perfect MOOC. And I don't think anybody has claimed that the first time you get it right. So there were some suggestions that you do a few iterations, pretty much like what we did on the Making MOOCs on a Budget MOOC, that the videos pretty much, I think most of them changed between the first delivery and the second delivery.
Yeah, and we changed the thrust of the MOOC as well. The second and third, there wasn't that big a change, but our priorities and what we saw was important for the learner changed. So the structure and design changed as well.
So the first one was, I think maybe the intention was that the first one would be it, and with minor tweaking.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's a learning curve. You have to test things out and.
Well, I would be
learn.
a big fan of, I suppose, the agile approach, and I would say if you say, oh, I think there'll be 400 people might be interested in this. Well, don't go for 400 straight away. Build your MOOC with a target delivery on the first delivery of 1/10 of what you think your target audience is. So if we get 40 on it, it'll be a more intimate type of a MOOC. You'll feel less exposed. You're more likely to do a good job. It's like a pilot. You're more likely to do a good job if you don't feel as exposed that there's millions of people or thousands or hundreds of people watching you. It may be even that you say, I'm going to do it with my existing learners that I'm going to use, and I'm going to get them to take the course online, and we can discuss things.
Maybe even do a couple of modules, like not do an entire course or something, just do it as a test with some friends or something. But I think that's, it is kind of a good point that, to manage your expectations, not to expect that the first time it is going to be perfect. This time start, it won't be. But that's not a bad thing. It's, it's a learning curve that, things will get better.
And there's another area that I would tend to say there's differing opinion is how much effort to put into the design. And I would be generally of the opinion that it's very hard to come up with a perfect design. You can spend a lot of time on the design, that you need a fairly rapid approach to design, come up with good ideas about how you're going to structure your course, how the learning is going to take place, do it. And then review and redo it. And you could have between the first and second iteration, you could completely rebuild it. And you could say, was all that effort wasted in the first delivery? Because I'm doing everything again. But you have so much clearer view of how you want to achieve what you want to achieve in the second one, that you could say that first test delivery was part of your design process. And chances are you won't completely rebuild it, but even if you did, what will come out of it might be a lot better.
No, but even, in the Making MOOCs on a Budget course, I think a lot of the videos that were developed for the first and the second delivery that didn't appear in the third, they're now useful to have in the additional resources at the end of the third delivery, so there's no wasted effort, really. There's just one other thing that has come up a little bit. A few people have been talking about another barrier that they have, that maybe, they now kind of feel pretty confident about making a MOOC, or trying to get started at least making MOOCs on a budget. But they've problems within their own institutions that they can't, or that they're not getting support. Is that a problem? Do you think that's going to change, or?
I don't know. I do believe there's a problem of institutions not wanting open learning materials or experiences out there that might reflect badly on them. And I think they overemphasize the importance of high production values. And if you were to say in your institution, listen, I'm going to do this, it's going to be fairly amateur. Look at the background here. We've just got a whiteboard. This is very plain. And if you say, this is what we're going to do, we're going to have a series of these, maybe PowerPoint slides, it's all going to be very simple. There is a danger that your institution say, no, that reflects too badly on our institution. Either you can't do it at all, or you do it, but don't put our branding on it. I would say, if they say you can't do it at all, that's just extremely unfortunate. That's driving you towards higher cost methods, which they may not allow you to do. If they say, okay, go ahead and do it, but you brand it, it doesn't have our branding on it. Well, that's not a bad start, because you can get out there and do it and see the reaction and come back to your management and say, look, how good this is. As I always say, if Salman Khan had brought his approach to teaching maths to a large organization and said, can I put these videos out under your brand? They would have said no. They're extremely plain and simple. They almost look crude the way he writes. Yet it was one of the most successful free online learning initiatives.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So just one kind of another question that maybe hasn't been the focus of the Making MOOCs on a Budget MOOC, but it's something that has come up a little bit in the module we did on retention and recruitment and retention. And we talk about bringing costs down to produce a MOOC, on the choice of platforms, how to use tools, etc. But something that came up in a little way was about learner readiness, because there are two sides. You produce to teach, but the learners need to sign up to learn, and they need to kind of stay on the MOOC or pick and choose good things. So do you think that we're ready for like lots and lots of people to sign up for these MOOCs that people are going to make? Are we heading for a MOOC revolution or not?
It's like a lot of these things, there's this whole idea of the tipping point, that it grows. You can't produce the product because before there's the customers, the customers won't emerge till the product emerges, and it grows sort of slowly. It enters the general consciousness. Chances are very few people out there know what MOOCs are, although there's probably a significant number, not huge, who know that there's lots of free online learning out there. I think a lot of people know that there's free learning materials. They go onto YouTube to find out how to fix their change the filter on their washing machine. But they don't quite realize that there's full courses out there, and some of them you can even buy credits as well, get an assessment. So I would say we're a while away from any great revolution on it, but we may reach a tipping point, and nobody knows when that tipping point will go. So suddenly people realize there are free courses out there. I can get a particular skill, and I suspect that it will break at some point. That could be 5 years from now. It could be 3 years from now. So,
but I guess it's kind of important to really kind of try and educate people who you think would be interested or would benefit from your MOOC on what they really are about, and try to talk about them as much as possible, educate people about the possibilities of MOOCs.
Well, are you talking about educating people who would potentially take MOOCs? Yeah. I mean, I do believe that people need to learn about learning. And that in itself is not developed. Now we're wandering into general educational thing, and part of that, people in fact, I would say that I would hope there'd come a day that in college courses you'd be required to take several MOOCs or online courses, preparing you for your professional life beyond college. Because an awful lot of the continuing education you're going to get after you leave formal education will be in the form of free online learning.
Okay, so I think that's pretty much it.
That's our
anything else?
the time block. No, I think that's it. I mean, this was a general discussion we had. We hope it was useful to people. We hope maybe that this format might have been a bit engaging, but whether this format was or were not engaging, I think we'll learn a bit from it. We'll learn, and maybe you'll learn. So take what you want from it, and enjoy. And listen, thanks everybody for taking the MOOC. This is the last learning object formally in the MOOC, apart from some additional learning materials. It was a pleasure to interact with you all. I should say at this stage, hi to all our project partners. It was a pleasure to work with you. We have a few months' work to do yet to wrap up this. And by the way, if you're building a MOOC, please get in touch. We have to measure the impact of this, and we want to know what you're doing. So it's been a pleasure.
Okay, thanks.
Let's hope we can continue working together. Bye.
Bye.